What is that right there?
Oh my god, man. I cannot believe this.
Alright guys, thank you for coming back to my channel. Today I've got another cool little story prepared for you guys. One that my father has related to me time and time again. It's a personal experience that he had growing up, and I thought that it deserved some space here in this channel, so definitely let me go ahead and share that with you guys. And don't forget to like this channel if you find these stories interesting. It helps the channel get noticed, and it helps people find it, so I greatly appreciate that. And if you want to get notified about all the upcoming updates that I have on the channel, then go ahead and also subscribe. So thanks so much for your support there. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so this story relates back to my dad's childhood. He was a very young boy, and he was probably around 18 to 20 years old, from what I gather. And he wasn't living with his mom anymore. He had already moved out, and he had been working in the city for a while, but every now and then he would come and visit his mom, who lived pretty far from the city. I'd say about maybe 2 to 3 hours away. And he liked to come visit her, stay the night, make sure she was okay, because his mom was someone who lived on her own. And she lived on her own in a farmland, so she definitely had a lot of time by herself. So he liked to come up and, keep her company. On one of those particular days, I remember him telling me that he went to visit her. It was probably on a weekend. And as nighttime was approaching on this first day visiting her, she asked him if he was going to stay the night or the weekend. And he replied, yeah, I'd like to stay if that's okay. It's a far drive, so I definitely wouldn't want to be driving at this time of the night. So she said, good, because I have something that I just can't explain that I want to see if you can make sense out of it. So, he was intrigued, and he was like, okay, what is it that you want to tell me? And she's like, sometimes I'm up late doing the dishes and just, tidying up the house. And as she's doing the dishes, she can see clearly out the window from her kitchen, and she notices that about 200 to 300 feet, just something's out there, something really weird. So he's intrigued. He was like, well, what is it? What is it that you are looking at? She's like, I don't know what I'm looking at, so I just need you to help me make sense out of it. So okay, she couldn't really explain herself, so natural thing for him to ask was, well, when does this usually happen, this weird occurrence or whatever you're looking at? And she's like, I don't know, right around like 11 o'clock at night, that's when usually things start to happen. So okay, so my dad waits till 11 or so, and she just waits until that time comes, and I remember my dad telling me that, yeah, so I waited, and, right around that time, she asked him to come to the window. So he's like, okay. And as soon as he looked outside, he noticed like this big black blanket of some sort. And that's the best way that he knew to describe it. And he was still trying to make it out. It's like, what is that? It doesn't make any sense. So he continued to look at this, and it looked like a 20 by 20, black blanket extended, vertically over a dirt road. And he just couldn't explain it. And he would stare at it for 20, 30, sometimes even 45 minutes. And it was just out there, And then all of a sudden, my dad would tell me that it would just be gone. And in his words, he was sort of saying, it almost seemed like it rolled up and just disappeared. So, of course, I was intrigued. And I would ask him some questions like, what did it do? Did anything come out? What angle were you staring at it from? Were you looking at it from the side? Were you looking at it from the front? And he was just saying, yeah, it was towards the side, but he could make out sort of in his mind the width and the height of this thing, which was pretty big. If you think about it, 20 feet by 20 feet is definitely not small. But the weirdest thing was that when he was describing it, he said, well, it would leave for about, it would stay there for like an hour and a half, leave, sort of roll up and disappear. And then like, 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, it would show back up again. So I'm like really intrigued by this moment. Like, well, then I asked him, did you happen to go outside? Did you happen to see it? He's like, no, forget it. I just was not, I was just not willing to do that. I didn't want to go out there. I was too afraid. I was a young kid and I didn't know what this was. And certainly didn't want to get myself involved with it. I was already too close to it, 200-300 feet. I can imagine how scary that must have been. I told him, and I said, well, is there anything else you could tell me about it? And he's like, well, I followed it for almost a week, in the sense that it would disappear and reappear like 3 times in the whole night. And then this happened every night for at least a week. And, I said, maybe it's inviting you to come in. Maybe it wanted to warp you to another time frame. And he laughed at it too. And he's like, I don't know. I wasn't about to find out. That was pretty scary. Just watching this big blanket sort of thing just extended vertically over a dirt road, and and then it would just disappear. It would just vanish without a trace. And it happened, he said, for more than a week. And I said, what happened after a week? Did it come back? He said, nope. I asked my mother if, because I had to leave, obviously he stayed as long as he could. So he probably stayed the whole weekend, I think. And then maybe in a day or two extra. But then he had to go back into town and, continue his life. And he asked, his mother all the time, did it come back? Did you see it again? And she's like, no, I didn't see it again. and I guess the whole thing was just dropped as far as conversation goes, because there was just no more evidence of it coming back. So kind of left them wondering, like, what was it? We don't know. And he even tells me, it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't explain it. Don't know what it was. And don't know if it, was malicious or not, but it certainly was out of this world. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys like the story. Leave any comments below if you've heard of anything like that, or if you've heard other people experienced it yourselves. Love to hear what you guys have to say. I'm in the process of doing some things that are definitely going to bring the channel, I think, more views, and have some current work lined up for it. So stay tuned if you are subscribed. And if you simply just like that, like my channel, go ahead and do so. Like I said, I really appreciate it. It gets it out and it helps other people get it noticed. But other than that, I hope you enjoy the story. And if you have any questions or anything, please leave any comments below. I'd love to answer those for you. And without anything else, guys, have yourself a great day. And thank you once again for visiting Maxwell's Unearthly.